Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Now, it is finally the day of the election, and we will be addressing that. It seems to have gone on forever, ever since Margaret Ferrier got reported. Everything so very long ago. It has been an absolute marathon, but we've finally got here, and we will address the election in a video today. In fact, it's going to be a very busy day. I've got maybe a dozen stories lined up. We won't get through all of them today, but I've just got basically a dozen stories lined up as it stands. Of course, there may be things happening through the day which will come over as well. So it is going to be a busy day for me. We will address, of course, the reporting to the police of Rishi Sunak for his gag yesterday, which I will say and give you a heads up now. It's a pointless exercise reporting it to the police, but you'll find out why in my report. However, we are going to start the day with a little bit of, I suppose, good news. A woman who has been attempting to become a police officer kept getting refused, and she kept fighting it because of equality laws. And the police kept rejecting it and trying to cancel it and saying, no, this isn't allowed, blah, blah, blah. And they fought and fought and fought to try and stop this case going to a tribunal. However, she was adamant that she wanted to go to this tribunal. Now, the matter is that she was suffering from postnatal depression and took some antidepressants after giving birth. And they're saying, oh, no, you're on antidepressants, you can't be a police officer, which flies in the face of the 2010 Equality Act, where, various disabilities and health aspects and things must be allowed for. As I say, they've tried to fight it, and she's very valiantly pushed on. Well, anyway, she keeps winning the case. We've got the story here, and we're going to go in and have a look at this. But I think it's well done to her. Now, whether she'll make a good policeman or not, police officer or not, is an entirely different matter. But the principle remains that you've got to abide by the law, even if you're the police. Here goes. So, Police Scotland loses fight to halt the antidepressant discrimination case. And you can't, of course, discriminate on the grounds of disability. And that includes mental as well as physical. They don't like it because she happened to take some postnatal depression medication. Well, tough. I'm sure there's nothing otherwise wrong with her. Anyway, Scotland's police force has lost its appeal in a case involving a woman who was rejected for a job because she was taking antidepressants. And the irony is, do you know how many police are actually on antidepressants? More than you'd believe. Very depressing job. One of the I believe being a police officer is one of the top 10 occupations which lead to self-ending. Farmers, I think, are number one. Vets are very high up there. But policemen, certainly in the top 10 of jobs where you are likely to end your own life. Also, massively high incidence of DV amongst police officers. Go back and beating the wife and that. And it's because it's a very stressful job. And I'm not defending any of this, of course, but I'm acknowledging that it is a stressful job. And an awful lot of police officers are on antidepressants. So to stop someone joining the force for the same reason seems a bit hypocritical, if nothing else. Anyway, Police Scotland could now also be facing a raft of other legal cases because of policies described as outdated by its own occupational health team. Laura Mackenzie sailed through the recruitment process. That's Laura Mackenzie there. She sailed through the recruitment process to become a police officer, but the offer was later rescinded after she disclosed she was taking medication for postnatal depression, which is a very common occurrence. It's something that happens sort of first usually 3 to 6 months after the birth. Women go very much down because apart from the massive life change, obviously, you have all the hormone imbalances and everything in there. Not that I've ever been pregnant myself, but I've you can be aware of these things without actually going through them. And as a father, I certainly saw the changes and things. Anyway, Police Scotland's occupational health provider said a policy of 2 years free of medication was in place. The Inverness woman, who is now training to be a nurse, is suing the force for discrimination. I hope she wins. Despite being outside the usual 3-month time limit for making a complaint, Judge Russell Bradley ruled that the Employment Tribunal could hear Miss Mackenzie's case. Police Scotland lodged a reconsideration of this decision, but it was rejected. So that was their first stance against it. Well, apart from the fact that they rejected her, they've complained about that complaint, that's been rejected. The force then lodged an appeal with the Employment Appeal Tribunal, and this was also unsuccessful and rejected. They really don't want this court case to go ahead, do they? The case will now proceed to a preliminary hearing later this year before a full hearing takes place in the new year. Good. And it's one of those cases where, because of, they describe it as outdated views, they're quite right, but they are discriminating. Now, just because you're on an antidepressant doesn't mean you can't deal with issues. I mean, if you break your arm, you're in a splint, and if your mind's a little bit broken, you take the antidepressant. It's no different. Must remove the stigma. And I think that's what part of the problem here is, that the police with these old, outdated attitudes are thinking, you're taking antidepressants, and it stigmatizes mental health. Mental health is as important as physical health. I'm sure most people at some point in their life have been, if not clinically depressed, then down, depressed to some point, without a doctor sort of prescribing anything, but you get down. You can recover sometimes, and that's fine. But we've all had moments of doubt and uncertainty when we're all sort of in a bad place mentally. We've all had days where you just couldn't face the world. We've all had that. It's part and parcel of being human. And if there's a little magic pill that can help you deal with that, what's the problem? You take an antidepressant. Taking an antidepressant is no different from taking an antibiotic. You're still putting a pill in to solve a problem. But of course, the police with this old, outdated attitude of saying, there's a mental health stigma. As long as they're not actually mentally subnormal, it's fine. Mentally ill, you can depending on what the illness is, obviously, but you can deal with these things. Anyway, Jay Lawson of Dundee-based firm MML Law, that's a hard thing to say at this time of the morning, which is representing Miss Mackenzie, said the firm had been contacted by a number of other people with almost carbon copy experiences, and the Herald revealed in July that the force was facing legal action. This is why they want to appeal it. This is why they want it changed. This is why they don't want this to go to court or anything, because if they lose this one, there might be dozens of others, and they'll have to fork out an awful lot of money that they don't currently have, because we know they're massively underfunded as it is. Well, that's their own fault. So, senior management made this decision. Anyway, Mr. Lawson said, "We are delighted that the attempt to appeal by Police Scotland was not accepted and thrown out at the first stage of the appeal process. The case will now proceed to a full hearing in due course." The significant level of public interest in this case has not been surprising. The number of people that came forward who'd been through similar, to Laura and those before her is extremely concerning, he said. The tribunal will forensically analyse the treatment of applicants with underlying health problems, which are arguing is discriminatory on many levels. Now, I have obviously physical health problems, which I've talked about before on the channel. Nothing sort of terrible at the moment, but I mean, I was hospitalised for a week a few months ago, as regular viewers regularly know. I was still able to sort of put out a video or two a day, but it was simply just, it wasn't to the full extent. Obviously, didn't have the equipment, but it's something that affects people, and you live with it and you get on with it. Depending on how bad it is, obviously, you can't judge everyone on that, and I don't. Some people suffer very badly, and it's very sad. But you do the best you can. But to have people discriminate against you because you're ill is just wrong. You got to. People are people. People are human beings. And you shouldn't discriminate on things like that. Now, sure, if you want to be a lifeguard at a swimming pool, you can discriminate on the grounds that, well, you can't swim. But that's fine. Or I would suspect that you could probably discriminate on the grounds of, well, you're blind. But that's a sensible discrimination. That's a safety issue. But just to work for the police, because you once took an antidepressant? Yeah, I don't think so. Miss Mackenzie was described by her recruiting officer as an impressive candidate when she applied to join Police Scotland in June 19. He also said her application to become a probationary officer in the Highlands and Islands Division stood out. She was issued with a provisional offer of employment in November 19 with several conditions. One was to be certified by a registered medical practitioner approved by the police authority to be fit both physically and mentally to perform the duties of a police officer. About a month later, Miss Mackenzie attended a medical ahead of an expected uniform fitting. There, the occupational health nurse asked about antidepressants. Miss Mackenzie said that she had believed by this time Police Scotland or its occupational health advisors, Optimal Health, would have access to her medical records. She said that she was taking an antidepressant drug for anxiety and depression. And then that was it. The offer was rescinded, The nurse consulted a colleague and an advisor of a 2-year rule stipulating that probationary police officers had to be free of antidepressant drugs for a period of 2 years before they could be considered for employment. And nobody's asked why. Why? What? Who invented this arbitrary rule? Who invented this arbitrary 2-year limit? Because it's not based on any scientific fact. It's just, we'll just put a limit on. Some bloke sitting in an office, probably. There's no reason for it. She's said to be heartbroken, of course she is, and the offer was pulled. So I wish her good luck. I hope she wins the case. I hope she takes them for money. To have your life, ruined like that because it's what she set her heart on. Let's pick her up. It's what she set her heart on. There's not enough good officers. She came through as an exemplary candidate. She could have been a brilliant officer and was pulled basically because some middle-aged man, probably someone like me, a middle-aged man sat in an office somewhere and just plucked 2 years out of his arse. Stupid rule. Anyway, I shall round off and come up. So good luck to her in this upcoming tribunal. I hope she wins it. I hope that opens the door to all the others that have then been rejected because of these things. And I hope it leads to a change in police policy where they stop discrimination. Police are notorious for discrimination on many different things. And it needs to change. We live in a world of human beings, not of just ciphers or what some bloke in an office describes, looks at it and goes, nah. Because he doesn't know the person involved. He's just making blanket rules, not based on any scientific evidence, of course. And it's wrong and it's stupid. Anyway, I shall finish there. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this has educated you as in the intent of the police to try and stop everyone from suing them because they know that the door opens and the floodgates will let everyone in, each with their hands open. But then they deserve it if this is what they're doing. Until next time, stay safe, stay well, don't trust a policeman, and remember that they are all dinosaurs. Bye.